Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of NASCAR Heat 3 Career Mode for a brand new season here today and on a new team. The 20 car JGR won the vote for me to go to by the time I started recording this episode, so we will be teammates with our rival of Martin Truex Jr. as we drive the number 20 car in place of Eric Jones, only for one season because I only wanted to do one season over here. So next season we will be going to a new team guaranteed, but we also have a new Xfinity team, or at least a new manufacturer, and we have Greg Biffle in the car for this first Daytona race. I have a subscriber, Nathan, that said that I should get Greg Biffle in the car, so I said, okay, we'll put him in the car. He wanted him full-time, but we're going to stick with the part-time thing just for this season. So we're going to have Greg Biffle in the car a handful of times this season as you get a look at our brand new paint scheme. Let me guys know if I should change anything up about it. I really like the color scheme. I'm definitely going to stick with the color scheme of the red and black. I thought it looked pretty cool. And Greg Biffle, he didn't qualify very well, as Daytona is really a tough track for my Xfinity team, and he struggled to work his way forward. As you can see by the midway point, he hadn't really done much, and by the time he came to the final lap of this race, he had barely worked his way inside the top 30 as Justin Allgaier had been leading the way towards the checkered flag as they came through turns 3 and turns 4. For the final time, Greg Biffle would look to the inside of Majeski, but would get cleared, and he couldn't get back to his inside as he came through the tri-oval. Greg Biffle would come through to finish in the 25th position, and then that would shift our focus over towards the Cup Series race, our first race with our new team over here at JGR. Just a one-off season with this team as we came through to qualifying. Like I said, teammates with our rival of Martin Truex Jr. because over this off season there wasn't a cool down in the rival system, which was a little bit weird. We came through to qualifying, we crossed the line, and we will start in the Daytona 500 in the 28th position. So hopefully we can move forwards here. So let's go see if we can get our first Daytona 500 victory here today.
We're live from beautiful Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida, for today's running of the great American race, the Daytona 500. Another season of Monster Energy NASCAR Cup racing is about to get underway. The forecast calls for blue skies and temps in the mid-70s. Perfect weather for racing. The drivers are in their cars and the sold-out crowd is on their feet. It's that time of year again. It's time for NASCAR racing.
All right, we're ready to go green here in the Daytona 500. Alex Bowman on the pole. Kyle Busch had to replace the transmission before the race, so he will be starting at the back of the field along Brad Keselowski, who was also starting at the back after failing technical inspection, which moves me up 2 positions as we get ready to start the Daytona 500 in the 26th starting position now alongside the 38 of David Reagan. And we are green here in the Daytona 500. The new season with a new team is underway here after we came up just short for the championship last season. Obviously in the number 41 Stuart Haas Racing Mustang, we lost the championship by about 3 or 4 car lengths to Kevin Harvick, who now is a 2-time champion here in NASCAR Heat 3 as we come through turns 1 and turns 2. For the first time of the season, Harvick lays that outside line, and not a good start for this outside line, so immediately I get down to the bottom line when I had the chance to make sure that I can go on the fastest lane. The inside is usually the fastest. Plate racing in this game still needs some work to be done to it. Talladega is not very good at all for plate racing, and Daytona is actually pretty decent most of the time. You can actually make both lanes work if you're up towards the front, so you might see that a little bit later if we can get up towards front now as we come out of turn 4, side by side, just barely with Jamie McMurray, as he might be a little bit clear, but now we look to his left-hand side as we come through the trial. We'll come through and complete the first lap of the Daytona 500 now in the 28th position. We never really qualified well. We qualified, I think, the top 5 one time in this race now as we came to the end of lap 2, making it 3 wide with Ross Chastain as McDowell moves up the track and gets into the side of him, as we also got into the back of McDowell there as we get into the side of Chastain now, making even more contact as we come through the trial. Still in a 3 wide moment now as we have this 12 to go in this first stage, trying to use a draft from the cars up ahead like David Reagan, as McDowell would slide down in front as we would try to get his draft, as Chastain would give me a bit of a side draft going into the corner, and that would slow up my momentum just a little bit now as we would be able to close in though on McDowell by the time we came to lap 9, right behind these guys as we had moved up to the top line trying to make something happen as we go 3 wide up ahead between our former teammate of Clint Boyer, I believe that's Daniel Hemrick or Austin Dillon in the middle of that 3 wide, and now our new teammate of Denny Hamlin now as we head down towards turns 1 and turns 2, still behind the 34 of Michael McDowell at this point. We were just kind of settling in because there wasn't much room for me to move around here. Obviously we're stuck on the top and it wasn't going forwards at this point, so I was pretty much stuck where I was and I couldn't really do anything with the car at this point. And by the time it came to lap 11, making it look to the outside just about Daniel Hemrick as we came across the line. Now as Daniel Suarez comes up to my inside and we make contact, and into the wall we go as we have heavy contact to the wall, but thankfully we don't get too much damage, but that's certainly going to ruin our stage as the green flag stays out, and we would continue going now as we would try to recover. Now I would actually get into the wall again, looking at the right side of the car. I was looking at the damage, and I just drove straight back into the wall now as we come down the back straightaway, losing these positions here late in the first stage. It looked like from when I looked back after the race, I came down in his Suarez a little bit, and he also moved up a bit. So it was 100% both of our faults, or I guess you could say it was 50-50 Suarez and myself. So obviously not what we needed to have happen, but as we came to the final lap, you could tell we were riding around in 39th with help from William Byron, and we would come through to finish 39th in the first stage. So a very disappointing start to the Daytona 500 with this new team, but thankfully we do have damage that's not too bad, so we can definitely still contend in this race. And we would come to pit road to take 2 cans of fuel, 4 tires, and I would put the tire pressures up to about 47.50 because I didn't feel like the car was sucking up in the draft as much as I needed it to. So we would get ready to start the second stage in the 40th position due to repairing the car now as we get ready to start stage 2 here in the Daytona 500. The green flag is out, and we are back underway in our 4th Daytona 500 as we have yet to win a 500. So hopefully we could do that today, but a rough start has put us behind here going into the second stage. It's probably going to be really tough for me to get stage points again here in stage 2, so not the best first 2 stages that we're going to have here in the 500 now, as we have a big checkup just in front of us on both lanes now. Looks like Hemrick leads the inside checkup, and I believe Kyle Busch is the cause of the outside line checkup, so we immediately get down back to the bottom as we have a chance to gain a good decent amount of positions, 4 or 5 spots or so now as we battle alongside the 32 of Corey LaJoie, as Ryan Preece is going to get down just in front of me there, and the number 47 cars will come down the back straightaway. He's in his second season now in our career mode now as we head down into turn 3 on his back bumper. Not able to get to the top. I was thinking about moving to the top, but LaJoie was able to stick his nose up there on my right rear, and we were unable to make that move now as we come down the front straightaway to come through to complete the first lap of the second stage as we come through the tri oval alongside Haley Deegan in the number 38 in her second season now in the Cup Series now as we battle side by side, making maybe a little bit of contact there as we go down towards turns 1, looking at the inside of the 47 of Ryan Preece as we're certainly struggling to work our way forwards, and I knew right away that we already have to make an even more of an adjustment to get some more tire pressure in the car because we just can't suck up in the draft exactly like I want to and like what I have been able to do in the past before the 2019 DLC. So we're still working on getting a really good restrictor plate car, but we would be able to get into the 36 position ahead of the 47 of Ryan Preece and look to the inside of the 32 of LaJoie. You see Kyle Busch not running great either, so not a great day for myself, Keselowski, Kyle Busch included. They started in the back, so yeah, just a rough start so far for these 3 cars now as we look to the inside of Keselowski, making it 3 wide as we go down into turns 1 here with just 10 laps to go now in the stage as we come through turns 1. LaJoie, he's going to back out of the 3 wide, and we would move up to P34 alongside Kyle Busch on lap 4 of the 12 in the stage. William Byron would blow a tire just in front of me, and he would hit the wall, and a caution would come out once again here in the Daytona 500 as we would get ready to restart in the 32nd position. Jimmy Johnson currently leads this race. Kurt Busch, by the way, did win the first stage, so he has gotten a playoff point already for himself, as obviously we would not pit as no one else would pit, so obviously no need for myself to come to pit road as we're ready to go green again, and the green flag is back out, and we are underway late now in the second stage here in the Daytona 500 now as we come through the trial to hit just 6 laps to go in stage 2. We sit P31 at the moment on the outside of Ty Dillon, so certainly looking like we're definitely not going to be able to get stage points in stage 2 as we have some help from behind with Brad Keselowski as we have a checkup once again in front of me there, so certainly a lot of checkups on these starts and restarts in this race. Not what we need to have happen unless we're in the opposite lane, but this time we were behind the checkup now as we are right behind the 71 of Ryan Truex as we come down the back straightaway. Keselowski and Deegan battle beside or behind me as we come through into turn 3, 3 wide up ahead just about now. Larson getting hung out on the far top lane as he has certainly not had a very good start to this Daytona 500 either, so a good chunk of big names: Kyle Busch, Keselowski, Larson, myself, all struggling here early in the Daytona 500, as I would be able to get to the bottom line behind Matt DiBenedetto, and by the time we came to the final lap, we would only move up into the 28th position behind 27th place of Daniel Hamrick, so still struggling at this point, but this time we had finally gotten to the bottom, so we were obviously working our way forwards, and at this point it's just thinking ahead of the final stage now. Obviously that's going to be our chance to get up towards the front, and I think we can still get a top 10 in this race for sure. It's just we've had a lot of bad luck, and we've struggled to get going up towards the front here early on in these first two stages. Now as we come through turns 3 and 4 for the final time in this second stage alongside the 3 of Austin Dillon. Now as we come through the trial, it's going to be Kurt Busch winning stage 2 again as we come through to finish 27th in the second stages. There's an audio cutout due to my controller dying right at the end of the stage there, but we would have to come to pit road once again, but I figured we could maybe just take 2 tires maybe on this restart. As you see there, Kurt Busch did win the stage for the playoff point, Eric Almirola in second, and I decided we need to make some more tire pressure adjustments because, like I said about the draft, we just couldn't suck up like I needed to, so we would put it up to 48 and hope that that would be kind of like the winning recipe, as we would lose 4 positions though on pit road and fall back to the 31st position as we get ready to start the final stage here in the Daytona 500. The green flag is back down, the final stage is underway, our 4th attempt at a 500. Could this be the lucky one as we try to get win number 1 in Daytona? Now 18 laps in this final stage, so a decent length final stage. It's definitely going to be enough time for me to move forwards, as we already have a checkup in front of me now as we go down towards turns 1. You see 2 cars on the very top lane making it 3 wide, and a big checkup from Kyle Busch, our teammate. He had a checkup earlier in stage 2, and he has one again now as we would move up into the top 25 straight away on this restart. So a very good restart for myself now as we come down the back straightaway. Busch causing a bit of a kind of cluster back there, so certainly not what he needed to have, but thankfully we get ourselves into the top 25. This is really one of the better positions we've been in all day now as we come through turns 3 and turn 4. Looking to the inside of now Ricky Stenhouse Jr., a very ambitious move there, a late move on him, and it did work now as we come through the trial to complete the first lap in this final stage. Now side by side with the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and the 37 of Chris Buescher on his outside, so we go 3 wide down into turns 1 as Jimmy Johnson is taking over the lead over his teammate of Alex Bowman behind, and Chase Elliott is behind Bowman, so Hendrick runs 1, 2, 3 at the moment, and William Byron, he's all the way in the back right now as we come down the back straightaway, kind of cutting off Kyle Busch there as he had a good amount of momentum, but thankfully we would be able to settle in just in front of him. And we would continue behind Stenhouse for a moment. By the time we came to lap 35 in this event, going down into turns 1, we would make it 3 wide with him and Ryan Preece now as we came through turns 1 and 2, making a bit of contact with the 17 of Stenhouse as he's going to stick on my right rear, or on my right side now as we come out of the corner, sliding up behind the 17 as there's a problem with the 47 of Preece, and he goes around right behind me as there's a crash behind, but the caution would come out so quickly that there wouldn't be any really damage done except to Ryan Preece. It would get straightened out, and he was really the only one that crashed somehow, so a very lucky escape for everybody as you get ready to go green from the 22nd position here late in the Daytona 500 now as we are ready to start alongside Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Not on the lane I want, but the green flag is back out and we are underway with help from Kyle Busch behind a teammate now. Certainly interesting to be teammates with some drivers I'm not the biggest fans of, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., so it's going to be interesting to see how this works as we make a 3 wide middle move on the restart, pushing David Reagan up through, and we move into the top 20 now as we head down into turns 1 and turns 2 with just 13 laps to go at this point in the race. On the back bumper of the 38 of David Reagan, who's thinking about maybe moving to the top behind our teammate of Denny Hamlin as we come down the back straightaway just in front of, I believe that's Daniel Hemrick behind me now as we come down the back straightaway. Stenhouse getting a big run, so we're going to come up and block that run as we head down towards turns 3. We are certainly having a much better third and final stage here in the 502. A little bit of luck might be on our side now as we come through turns 3 and turns 4 side by side with our new teammate of Denny Hamlin as we approach our rival and new teammate Martin Truex Jr. for the first time this season as we come through to complete the first lap since the restart now as we head down towards turns 1 and turns 2 behind the 38 of David Reagan as we go into the corner. Jimmy Johnson continues to lead the Great American Race now as we look to the inside just about of Martin Truex Jr. Jr. As we get to his inside, he's going to come down on us immediately as he tries to push me down towards the apron. So he's certainly letting me know that there's a lot of hatred towards me still as we come down the back straightaway. So we're going to have to play it safe with Truex. I decided kind of right here that we needed a new game plan with Martin Truex Jr. We're going to have to spend really the first 6-7 races or so really just giving Martin Truex Jr. as much room as possible, not running into him. If he gets near me, we're going to let him go at other tracks. Not Daytona, of course, because we don't need to be doing anything too risky, trying to get out of Truex's way when it could cause an incident here. Now, as we come to lap 44, we would make a 3-wide with the 10 and the 88 of Bowman and Almirola, who are in a very weird battle, making a lot of contact, and we would move into the 16th position with just 7 laps to go in this race as we continued to move our way forwards through the field now as we come through down into turn 3, as there wasn't a lot of organization on the top line. But as we came to lap 48 with just 3 to go, making it look to the inside of the 4 of our former teammate Kevin Harvick. Obviously he won the championship last season. Now as we're approaching just 2 laps to go in this race, looking to the inside of Brendan Gagne, still pretty disorganized up on the top line. But as we came towards the final laps, it started to get a little bit more organized now as we're just at a lap and a half to go in the Daytona 500 at this point. Jimmy Johnson making a move to the lead as they go into turn 3 just about, but he gets cut off by Michael McDowell, that is, up in the front. Landon Castle is behind them front runners now as we come through out of turn 4, approaching the final lap in the Daytona 500. Michael McDowell currently in command as we come through the trial. Well, Johnson gets to his inside as the white flag is in the air in the Daytona 500. They go 3 wide up ahead between Elliott, McMurray, and Castle as Jimmy Johnson takes the lead late in the Daytona 500 on the final lap as we look to the inside of Chase Elliott now as we come through turns 1 and turns 2 for the final time as we get to the inside of Jamie McMurray on the back bumper of our teammate Truex. We try to look to his inside, but we're unable to make a move as I decided we're just going to stay right here now as we come down the back straightaway. Jimmy Johnson leads as we come through turns 3 and turns 4, still on the inside of Jamie McMurray as McDowell leads the outside line. Jimmy Johnson has won 2 Daytona 500s in his career. He was winless all of last season, but that's going to change today as Jimmy Johnson, the 7-time champion, wins his 3rd Daytona 500 and locks himself into the playoffs. A big day for the 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson as he gets his first win in over a season. He hasn't won in a long time. Obviously, he went last season in real life winless, and he went last season in our career mode winless. Now he's back to victory lane with one of the biggest races of the season. I don't consider the Daytona 500 to be the biggest race of the season. Personally, I consider Homestead Miami to be the biggest race of the season, and then Daytona 500 second. Obviously, a series championship to me is much more significant than a Daytona 500 championship win. But now, as we come through, we finished 5th in this race. So certainly a Daytona 500 comeback, as we were running in the mid-20s and low 30s for the first 2 stages after making some mistakes, getting into some small incidents, nearly getting collected in a big incident as we came down the back straightaway with Ryan Preece. But thankfully, we were able to avoid that in this first race of the season. So a bit of a rough start, though, with this new team. We did at least cap it off with a decent finish as Jimmy Johnson brought home the victory. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. We're going to apologize to Martin Truex Jr. because we need to get him away from being a rival. We're going to race him extra clean now throughout the first part of this season because we need to have no rivals going into the playoffs this season, as Truex almost costed us a chance at a championship last season. We don't want that happening again. But like I said, if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Those would all be incredibly appreciated. I will see you guys in the next episode when we go to Atlanta. We might have Greg Biffle back in the car for Xfinity Series, but there you see the playoff grid now. Jimmy Johnson is locked in. Kurt Busch also has 2 playoff points. So thank you for watching, everyone, and I will see you guys in the next episode for Atlanta, where we look to get our first win at that track as well. So see you then. Thank you for watching, and have yourselves a great day, everybody.